Yeah, I think it began with a little bit of fever. Initially, it was low grade for about a couple of hours, and then I think it went to about 100 or 101. So when it touched 101, that's when you knew something was amiss. So you obviously, I mean, a few days before that itself, I had isolated myself because I knew one of our colleagues had come in contact with somebody. So from then itself, about 4 days earlier, I had isolated. I tested 4 days later so that at least there's an incubation period. It's more accurate then. When I got the fever, then I knew it was COVID. So even before the test came out, it was fairly evident that I had. So by that time, I'd already isolated myself for about 4 or 5 days. On the third day, I lost my sense of smell. So, I mean, in the morning I had it, and by afternoon, I don't know why I felt like, smelling something. I think it was something which I was the soap, and I couldn't smell the soap, and I lost my sense of smell. That lasted me for 2 days. On the third day, by evening, I had started to get my sense of smell back. So I did lose my sense of smell. There was no problem with any other faculty, no taste problem, no nothing. It was just a sense of smell I had lost. Second day itself. So, I mean, when I knew that I had COVID on a Saturday, so by Monday, yeah, on Sunday itself, actually the next day itself, about 24 hours later, I think the oils had come. So from Sunday itself, I had started to apply the oils. Both of them, both Sudarshan and the other, with both as a combination. I think the oils really helped, to be honest with you. I think first of all, I don't know how it worked internally, but at least most importantly, psychologically, you believed in it. Firstly, because obviously, did a bit of leading up as well, because obviously when you got in, and also a great believer in many of the older, more ancient therapies as well. So the oil certainly I felt helped. So even when I got my sense of smell back on the third day itself, I mean, it is very soothing. I mean, at the end of the day, especially when you apply it on your nostrils, especially, I mean, before, because I would take steaming, and then before going to bed, I would take steaming as well. Then I would apply and do the oils. I think it did induce a good sense of sleep, I think, which is very, very important. It's a sort of a calming effect, let's put it that way. And also in the sense of breathing, because when I got the sense of smell back, that's when actually it hit me even more, in the sense, I mean, that's when you could really truly experience, the beautiful aromas as well. That also triggers sensations in your brain of a feeling of well-being. So I think it really helped, especially the Sudarshan also, I think on the Navi area also, I think there were a few drops which you had to, and obviously, I think it just was a great, apart from the effect it had from a more clinical point of view, I think it was also extremely good psychologically, combination of both. It's just an overall sense of well-being that, you're applying it and something is working, and, you're feeling better. I had this so-called high-grade fever only for a day. So it was only about 101, I think it went, and then we were asked to take paracetamol. So I think it's just for a day I had fever, I mean high-grade fever. And after that, it was always at about 99.6 and 99. I mean, it never touched 100. It's just one day, it just shot up to about 101. And once you took the paracetamol, it came down. And then after that, it never reached 100 or never crossed 100. Look, I think the recovery, the first 5 days, obviously we took that course. So as I said, even before the test results came in, I think we also had a very nice gentleman who's, and he said, the symptoms are there, but obviously at the end of the day, he had started us off on the medicine even before, I think about 48 hours before, because the results were getting very delayed. So he said, you anyway start taking it. So I think, except for the day of fever where I had a bit of discomfort when you obviously have fever. And apart from that, I think the recovery was fairly quick. I think it was more psychological recovery you needed than physical recovery in my case at least. You start getting suspicious. I mean, obviously we were isolated in a separate room. Uh, except for day one and the loss of smell, I think maybe by day 4 onwards, we were coming back to some semblance of normalcy. And obviously you still knew that you had to go through that 14. And actually I, not only 14, I actually spent 17 days in isolation. So another 3-4 days additional before I actually came back into the main house. I think on the 18th day I came down. That studiously tried to do every 2 hours, but many times it won't happen because either you had fallen asleep or whatever. But at least about minimum at least 4 times a day, studiously minimum of. I mean, so yeah, there were more number of times obviously, but minimum of, I can say on an average about 4 times a day. That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, it just gave a lot of great comfort because every time, as I mentioned, I think the minute you applied, it's a sense of well-being. So, I mean, there's still some oils left. So in the evening, studiously, okay, I'm not doing it 4 times a day, but at least before going to bed every night, I am certainly doing it. Yeah. So I'm still doing it. Studiously, I'm doing it. That's for sure. No breathing issues. No breathing issues at all. I had no breathing issues. No, I think it's brilliant. I mean, we've been recommending it to everybody else as well. I mean, because at the end of the day, anything good which has really benefited, I think it's important for us to propagate it further. We are actually mentioning it to a lot of people that you should, apart from whatever you do from an allopathic or homeopathic, whatever they're doing it. But also at the end of the day, I think these ones really sort of help. And even if some people perhaps are non-believers, but at the end of the day, we're saying, sir, but it still is not going to do you any harm. If there's anything, I said, it is only going to do you good. Yeah. So, and also I think the other spray which you have given as a diffuser in terms of that as well, I mean, that we have been judiciously using it. So that we are, and especially even at the front door, if people have just come in and gone or whatever, delivery guys have just left something out and gone, we are ensuring that at least, we spray the diffuser, that's for sure.